trusting himself.
For me, it's just continuing to trust what I see, play fast, and just cut it loose. I think that's the biggest thing is, know I can make every throw out there. I know what I'm seeing, so just trust it and go play and help us get in a rhythm faster and hit some of these throws down the field and, open up our offense some more.
Dan, what do you think of his self-assessment?
Yeah, he's 100% right. The problem is that we've all been saying that since Clemson. I mean, that's what we've been begging Trevor Lawrence to do. We sat there and go, you're 6'6", you're 250 pounds, you're an unbelievable athlete, as talented as humanly possible, yet you play like a robot off paper far too often. He's a very good instinctual athlete that holds himself back trying to do everything perfectly. Trevor, cut it loose in your own words.
It's one thing knowing it, it's the other thing to execute it. All right, let's go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They sit atop the AFC North. Very shaky secondary facing a Bengals offense that really carved them up in Week 7. Pittsburgh defense allowing the most receiving yards per game in the NFL. It ranks in the bottom 10 per catch and receiving first downs. They have allowed 8 different players, RC, to reach 100 receiving yards, the most in the NFL. This must be just so painful for you to see these stats. What do you need to see from this?
Just don't be sitting ducks. I don't know if y'all remember when Duck Hunt came out in Mario Brothers. I wasn't very good at video games, so I would go stand right by the TV so I could get close to the ducks and I could just get them.
It was a cord.
Like, why can't you do something to not be those guys, right? When you look at these games, they sit in these coverages and they don't disguise, and the quarterback knows exactly where to go. And if you go back to the game against the Cincinnati Bengals, because they couldn't stop the run, they continued to play in so much single high, so much man-to-man, and Joe Flacco absolutely carved them up. Disguise, be versatile, and find ways to confuse the QB.
I'm so glad to know that you were really, really skilled at that.
I was unreal
game,
at it.
Dan. Of course you were. Right. I need coordination. What can I say? To Chicago, where Bears quarterback Caleb Williams knows that he is in for a challenge against Brian Flores and that Vikings defense, which has already given him a bit of trouble.
He's probably one of the more challenging coaches that I've had to, go against so far in my career. Obviously, I haven't played, every single team yet and every single D coordinator, but up to this point, he's been that. You just understand that you have to be as close to perfect as you can be, and so practice and the small details all matter. Protecting the football, the routes and the depth and the spacing and my timing, everything matters.
Okay, so Mina, the new and improved Caleb, he knows what he's up against. How can the Bears attack that Minnesota defense?
Vikings defense is tricky, but they have weaknesses. One, against the run, and I do think this outside zone Bears running game will have success. And then through the air. The Vikings are dead last this season in EPA per play versus quarterbacks who throw the ball 20 yards or more. And Caleb Williams is absolutely doing that, 4th in attempts over 20 yards. You saw last week some of the accuracy throwing downfield, including passes, by the way, that were not caught. So I think for Chicago, if they lean into combination of that ground game and then the deep passing, some of that off of play action, they can have success against a Vikings defense that is more vulnerable than they were last season. All
right, so Mina, that leads us to AI-generated fantasy insights provided by IBM. Facing the Vikings on Sunday, Bears wide receivers Roma Dunze and DJ Moore are both on the Watson X boom list of players projected to exceed expectations. Dunze is 5th on the list. Watson X projects a high of 19.2 fantasy points. Moore is 6th on the list with a high projection of 14.6 fantasy points. Their narratives from last season. The Chiefs have gone from an NFL record 12-0 last season in one-score games to 0-4 this year. Meanwhile, the Broncos lost 6 one-score games last season. They did make it a point of emphasis going into this year, and they have already won 6 one-score games, setting up a huge AFC West matchup. Chiefs at Broncos. Kansas City in 3rd place, 2.5 games back in the West. Time for That's Cap. Our NFL researcher, Evan Kaplan, is going to break it down, and he has his own graphic. And I personally think it's a lovely picture.
That's Cap.
We're stepping it up here, Hannah, right?
Hey, why is Patrick Mahomes in this offense built to kind of climb up in those division standings?
Yeah, so as you just said, this is not the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes we're used to seeing, but this is his time of year. We're talking about weeks 11 through 18. His overall record in those weeks, final 8 weeks of the season, is 38-10, including 20-2 in divisional games. He is 7-0 against the Broncos over the final 8 weeks of the season. So that's a historical context. What about what he's doing on the field this season? And we're talking about the deep ball. Last season in 16 games, he only had 6 completions, thrown 25-plus yards downfield. This year, he has 12. That's tied for the most in the NFL. And look at his efficiency on those throws, nearly double when we're talking about his completion percentage on that deep ball. So, RC, I'm saying against this Broncos secondary, it should be without reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Pat Surtain. He's going to need to hit those deep shots, Patrick Mahomes, in order for the Chiefs to win.
Absolutely. That's no cap. And the reason being is we've sort of lamented the fact that this team had trouble creating explosive plays over the last 2 years. That was obviously supposed to change with Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice. And we've seen them be intentional about taking these shots. They missed some of those opportunities against the Buffalo Bills because of the pressure Buffalo was able to put on the quarterback. He's going to see the same thing against Denver, but against Riley Moss on the outside, against Abrams Drain on the outside, with no Patrick Surtain, you have to hit these plays, get that chunk yardage, and find a way to get some easy scores against the Denver Broncos that have had difficulty producing points.
Yeah, I think for Kansas City, it really just comes down to whether or not you can find a way to mitigate the pass rush, because behind that pass rush, without Surtain, there's vulnerabilities. They're going to play way more zone. That's what they've been doing without Patrick on the field, which means usually Kelsey and Rashee Rice. I love Brashard Smith, their rookie running back, as an answer, run versus pressure when they send it, but also attacking Denver's backers, which has been a weakness of them now for 2 years in terms of pass coverage. But for Andy Reid and Matt Nagy, I think really, Dan, it just comes down to how do you find that balance of keeping backs in, keeping primary players in occasionally to pass protect so you can take in some shots while also measuring in quick game, which I think we're going to see a lot of.
Yeah.
Keeping Patrick Mahomes off of his back is as much about guys winning quickly as it is about pass protection. And I think that's going to be really important against this Broncos defense.
Yeah, but maybe the biggest question in this game is what the heck with Denver's offense, which just looked terrible last Thursday night. We were talking about Bo Nix, so jumpy, and the way that he's played this season. What do you need to see from him?
If I was Denver, I'd get him hit early. And I know that's contrary to what you often do with quarterbacks. I just think he's one of those unique quarterbacks that the more he feels like he's physically part of the game, the better he's going to play. If you look at his, at least, opportunity and impact running the football, it often happens in the second, third, and fourth quarters. He's got passing touchdowns after that in the second, third, and fourth quarters on the time when he's moved. And a lot of times with younger quarterbacks, you hear people say, let's get him in rhythm, and we correlate that with like getting an easy completion. Sean Payton tries to do that. It doesn't work. I think he's an athletic quarterback. He's a reaction quarterback. He's a physical quarterback. I'd get him hit early on to try to settle him as early as possible.
Because he reacts too quickly. I mean, he takes off.
I think he plays like a linebacker.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, there's a lot at stake in this game, Cap, right?
A ton.
So can you just lay it out for us? What's the scenario?
Absolutely. So using our playoff predictor here, we're going to do this from the Chiefs' perspective. 5-4 right now, 25% chance to win the AFC West. Look at these numbers here. Our analytics still really like the Chiefs. At least a 60% chance to win all of these games through Week 17. So let's see this in action. If the Chiefs win in Denver, they're up to 36% to win the AFC West. They'll be higher than the Broncos, about the same as the Chargers. But if Kansas City loses, they are down to just 7% to win the division, and Denver would have a 3.5 game lead over the Chiefs. The last time Kansas City did not win the AFC West was 2015. That's the last season Dan threw a touchdown pass in the NFL.
Oh, my goodness.
That's no cap.
That means he was balling, though.
That's no cap.
He was
That's
balling.
awesome.
Honestly, too, though, going in this game, too, no Singleton defensively. I mean, I think that's big for the Denver Broncos. You're obviously missing Patrick Surtain on the back end. And so if you could find some ways to get Brashard Smith and find ways to get Travis Kelsey involved in between the numbers, I think that's a place to attack as well.
Guess what Dan the Man saved us here by picking the Broncos, and why, besides the stat you just heard?
I think this defense is absolutely off the charts, and I think the one thing, Cap was talking about it, that Kansas City's done so much better this year is the big plays downfield, but it's happened because Patrick's held the ball and created those big plays. That's the one thing you don't want to do against this defense. This defense in Denver has 35 sacks alone on first and third down. So they kill drives to begin, and they end drives to end it and get off the field. I think they ride the backs of their defense.
Yeah, Mina's going with a Dan pick there, 2017. Mina, how do you see it that way?
Same score. One thing that worries me is the absence of J.K. Dobbins. I think the way you beat Kansas City is you run on them, and Dobbins has been so good for Denver, like R.J. Harvey, but I just worry about the run game without him, and I think that is the right approach against Kansas City.
Yeah, and no Pacheco either on the other side. So I want you to know that we made history today, I think.
No gong?
We had a gong-free show.
No!
Yeah. We are...